Phantom Dust, a game few have played, and even fewer have even heard of. A surefire masterpiece of its time, long forgotten by the masses, but held in high respect by those who have experienced it firsthand. Truly, a one-of-a-kind game, harboring one of the most uniquely blended gameplay mechanics, and complemented by an intriguing story and an extraordinary design. At what point was this game forgotten? Is there any chance of a reboot? Would a reboot even do it justice? Even if it was confirmed, would Yukio Fatatsuki returns as lead director? For years, fans of the original IP wondered if Phantom Dust would ever rise again to the surface. That is, until E3 2014. Hello everybody, and welcome to the next installment of Topic of Discussion. I'm your host, the Immortal Afro, and today we'll be talking about a precious gem that I'm sure many of you haven't even heard of. Today we'll be talking about Phantom Dust. Many of you will be surprised to find out that this game actually came out 10 years ago this month. That's right, March 15th, 2005 was the original American release date for this game. I don't know about you, but it kind of makes me feel a little old. Well, luckily for some of you young folks out there, a trailer for this awesome game was released at E3 last year by Microsoft. And as a fan of the original, I couldn't help but feel so happy that Microsoft is finally digging in their back pockets to revive some of their old IPs. It's been too long, they need to help. Now, from what I can remember, the game did not do relatively well during its release 10 years ago. Now, this could have been due to a number of factors. Maybe the marketing for the game was poor. Perhaps the market was already oversaturated with so many games that it got overlooked. But it's alright. It is a new generation. It is a new year. We need to be looking at what we should be expecting for the next generation of Phantom Dust. Alright folks, you know the drill. In Topic of Discussion, we tackle 4 different categories when we go over a new subject. And those 4 categories are as follows: design, gameplay, content, and story. Now we're going to be looking at this game as if it's going to have a traditional release window, you know, $60 out the box, all that good stuff. Now, I do know that, you know, there have been plenty of articles discussing by the developers that they were looking into making a free-to-play model, similar to Killer Instinct. And no, hell no. In my honest opinion, I cannot say I was a fan of how Killer Instinct was handled during its release, with the whole seasonal thing spreading across 2 years. No. Now, don't get me wrong, I do think a free-to-play model could work for this game, but that's kind of a stretch if you ask me. I would much rather have a traditional $60, you know, game release, maybe a special edition if they have something like that, with the DLC paired in afterwards. But that's just my opinion. But without further ado, let's look at design. Judging from the cinematic trailer shown off at E3 last year, I believe it is safe to say that the overall look for the characters will meet expectations. The original game did have some outrageous design choices with the whole gothic punk style clothes and belts and whatnot, but it is ultimately what set it apart from other titles. They seem to have potentially toned it down in the trailer, but it is way too soon to say. I certainly do hope that the classic look is there to stay after all. As far as the environment goes, a beautifully destroyed city fits the bill perfectly. One of the biggest factors in Phantom Dust is, well, the Phantom Dust. A huge thick fog engulfs the entire planet. Giant buildings slowly eroding from hundreds of years of decay. Huge statues slowly crumbling away bit by bit until they finally collapse on themselves. Destructive beauty is what we're aiming for. Now, in the original Phantom Dust, there were various locations and areas you could visit within the city. So, we should expect to see places like old subways, worn out sports stadiums, desolate malls, abandoned museums, and the like. These would make excellent battlefields for players to go head to head, which brings us to our next category, gameplay. Now, about halfway into making this particular video, new information was released on the internet about the game. And it came in the form of a video that was uploaded probably by a previous developer, you know, the guys who were working on it before Microsoft ended the contract with them. It was some gameplay of the multiplayer in the game. I'll leave a link in the description to the video so you can go see it for yourself. The gameplay that they showed wasn't too bad. It obviously wasn't, you know, finished by any means, but for what they had, it was pretty well put together, which kind of makes me a little worried about Microsoft's decision to abandon their relationship with the previous developers who were working on the title. Judging from that video alone, it shows that the previous developers did do their homework on the original Phantom Dust in order to bring it as close to this one as possible. You know, after all, it's supposed to be a reboot, not exactly a sequel. As far as what could be added in a game like this, I do think that adding some smoother animations would help this game go a lot further. For example, have the characters interact with the environment more. Instead of having these stale run or walk animations, have them, you know, be a little more aware of where they are. You know, when they run up to a wall, they put their hands against the wall, or if things start falling apart, because environmental damage is a big deal in this game, have them react to falling debris or cracks in the ground. You know, stuff like that helps the game go a long way. Hell, if you need an example, check out Final Fantasy 15. The character animations in that game look so good, it should be illegal.
Where you at, bitch? Yeah, I'm ready for your ass.
動物ってわけじゃねえな。
俺たち勝てんの？油断すれば一発でやられるぞ。
I was playing, dog. I was playing. I was playing. I swear to God, I love you.
Alright folks, next up we have what is probably the most controversial on this list, even though it shouldn't be, but it is amongst publishers and developers and gamers as of late. Game content. I know, content is a really touchy subject now, especially within the past couple of years with how these games have been releasing, whether it be an incomplete game with DLC added on or day one DLC. There's so many bad practices going on. Content makes people shudder. But don't worry, Microsoft, thanks to videos like this, we can help you guys so you can understand exactly what we, the players, want in a full price game. And like I said before, we're not doing that free to play crap. No, we're doing a regular, traditional $60 release. Now don't you forget, Microsoft, you guys did state that you wanted Phantom Dust to be a 30-hour plus JRPG experience, which is fine. I am totally okay with that. That sounds really good. However, if you're going to be comparing this to the original Phantom Dust as a reboot, you're going to have to keep the content up to date. You know, let's try to make it 2015, 2016 for crying out loud. So I'm just going to go ahead and toss in online co-op. I mean, yeah, Versus was in the original game, which should be a staple anyway, but some online co-op would do really well in a game like this, especially since the original game always had a, you know, partner tag with you when you go do missions. Now, Xbox or Microsoft, I know you guys got the power or whatever, doing a little bit of online co-op in this game would be awesome. I mean, think about it, 4-player co-op, everyone playing with their own customized arsenals to suit their play style, all working together to take down a boss or something, Phantom Dust style, that would be astronomical. And probably, you know, just have the AI, you know, change with however many characters are playing at the same time. And Versus, don't forget Versus, I think I already said that. If the main game is going to be 30 plus hours, you know, you don't have to emphasize on it too much, but do like what, what's the game? Far Cry. Do what Far Cry 3 did. Have some, probably a few missions just dedicated to, you know, multiplayer co-op or something like that. Maybe fight a boss or go through a stage. I'm afraid to say horde mode, but you know, I don't think it would be bad for a game like this. Now besides online, how about some offline goodies? Now back in the day, There used to be plenty of things you could do before achievements and trophies just came and took over everything. Let's bring it back some. Add in a BGM menu, unlock songs or cutscenes in the game for people to go back and look at. Or hell, how about concept art or notes from the developer? It's almost like games nowadays have completely abandoned all that just so you can get a list of achievements for doing anything. Like, don't get me wrong, achievements are cool in their own right, but it wouldn't hurt to add some concept art from some, stages or some characters. Just show the players exactly how much work went into the game. That would be awesome. And since we're in the year of remastered everything, why don't you guys go ahead and remaster the original Phantom Dust and put it on Xbox Live Arcade? Something like that can help the game since not a lot of people, and I mean not a lot of people, know about this game. Now, I do believe that is an exceptional amount of content for a game like Phantom Dust at $60. Now, I'm not saying we don't want any DLC, just make sure that the DLC that you add, and I know you guys will add some, is extra. Don't let it be something that's been arbitrarily taken out of the game. DLC is meant to, add value, not take away or put what was supposed to be there. Add value. Costumes or perhaps extra stages. Now, those stages, I'm almost afraid to tell you guys this because I feel like you're going to mess it up somehow, but if we're going to do stages, that's fine. Just make sure the amount of stages that is already present in the game is fair. Good amount. Alright? Just saying. Just putting that out there. Now, we have one more category to go over, and we all know it is story. Now, when it comes to story, this game has already been confirmed to be a reboot, so it's kind of hard to touch. And I'm thinking about dropping the story category from this series because, it's kind of hard to say what we want in the story, especially for a game like this that hardly anybody knows. So, Microsoft, a lot of the work is already done for you. Just try to stick to the original outline as best you can without taking away or adding too much. Well guys, that wraps up this episode of Topic of Discussion featuring Phantom Dust. I am looking forward to what Microsoft has to offer in terms of how they're going to remake this game and what new ideas they're going to add. Even though the cancellation of the original developers worries me, I'm going to try to keep an open mind here. Alright Microsoft, we're going to be looking forward to what you got for us later down the line, since we're going to be looking at a 2016-2017 release because of what you did with the developers. But hey, hopefully that was a smart decision on your part. How about you guys at home? Like the video? Dislike the video? We got something to say below? You know the drill. I'm the Immortal Afro. Please subscribe for more content from me if you like what you see. And as always, have a good one. Crossroads. The original story of Phantom Dust was really well put together, and I don't want to spoil any of it here, even though most of you guys are probably going to check it on the internet, so why don't you go ahead and do that. Just make sure if you're going to do this reboot properly, just make sure if you're going to do this reboot, amount of content for a game like Phantom Dust. A pretty, as original as possible. If you say, one more time.